like to establish here? I would like to come up with a mathematical expression that guides to the phenomena of radiation, that is actually responsible for radiation mechanism. Uh, that is, if that holds good, then the particular current carrying conductor would certainly radiate. That is what I am going to establish now. For that, I need a mathematical relation. For that mathematical relation, we go back to our basic relation, basic information that we have, the basic knowledge that we have. The first one is the current that is passing through a conducting wire. Let that current be in a thin wire. Let that wire be a very thin wire, and that current is due to a charge that is passing through the conducting wire with a charge density of QL. So what I am saying here, I am trying to establish expression for current through what? A thin wire due to current, sorry, not current, charge density QL. What are the units for this? Q coulombs per meter, charge density. So this particular case, the I is equal to QL into small v, where small v is the velocity of what? The charge, velocity of the charge, while I is the current that is responsible, that is contributed or constituted, while QL density of charge is passing through a conducting wire with a velocity of, with a uniform velocity of V. Now if the current is time varying current, then the charge density being constant, and let that time varying be dt represented in this way, then the charge being constant, the corresponding parameter is dv by dt. While we know that dv by dt is acceleration, and this is the time varying current. This is the time varying current. Now I am talking about a conducting wire through which I current is flowing. And see, in this particular case, we have ignored that the wire has a length. So when we consider that the wire has a substantial length, that respectable amount, measurable value of length, then it would be L into Di, which means L into QL A, Q suffix L into acceleration charge carriers. Okay, so looking at this expression, now just look at this particular expression. Looking at, is my screen visible to you? Is the whiteboard visible to you what I have written?
Sir.
No,
Yes,
now
sir.
it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Now, what I am trying to looking into this expression, what I can infer from this, I can establish that this is a basic relationship between the current and charge, because on left hand side I have the current, while on the right hand side I have the charge. The I is the component of current, while Q is the component of charge. And also would like to mention that this is a fundamental relation of electromagnetic radiation, which means, which means that if this particular relation doesn't holds good, then the corresponding electromagnetic radiation is not possible. If this holds good, then the electromagnetic radiation is possible, which means that to create radiation, I need a time varying current. If not time varying current, at least I need an accelerating charge carrier or a decelerating charge carrier, both accelerating and decelerating charge carriers. Are you able to understand? Even though you are static in position, or let us suppose that you are a charge particle and you are moving on a road, or for a very small walk with a uniform velocity, and obviously you won't contribute to any radiation, but you contribute to current, but you can't contribute to radiation, because if you can, because the corresponding acceleration, because you are managing uniform velocity, the dv by dt is non-varying velocity, so obviously dv by dt would be 0, and hence the radiation would be 0. L diz by dt would be equal to 0. So that is the case, because the current I is constant. Okay. Now, if the road that you are passing through for a walk is quite slanting, tilted down and tilted up and tilted down and tilted up like a zigzag, okay, having a zigzag in a top down form, like up and down, then obviously while going slide up, you would decrease your velocity with no other external force acting on you, with the same force that is making you to move with uniform velocity. The same force is not sufficient to take you up the hill, obviously you get decelerated. Now while sliding down, the same force, if it is applied, would take you to an accelerating position. You would increase your velocity, which means you have been accelerated, which means a straight current carrying conductor, with uniform current, velocity of current, we cannot radiate we cannot radiate, but dv by dt can radiate. In dv by dt, that means the variation in the velocity is possible simply by using the same strategy, by bending this wire like this. As I told you, while you are walking on a very flat road, the force that is applied on you would provide you to move with a uniform velocity, for sure. But when the road is up and down, then obviously the same force that is applied on you will make you to decelerate while you are sliding up. While you are sliding down, the same force would make you accelerate. The force will not be changing, but the deformation in the road is responsible for varying velocity. Similarly, the wire, when it is straight, pretty much straight, and current that is passing through it is uniform in nature, then it is not responsible for radiation. But when the same wire is bent, then it is responsible for accelerated or decelerated charge carriers, and hence radiation takes place. So what my point here is, this is a fundamental relation between charge and current to accomplish, maybe, or let us not take such a very tight terms, current responsible for radiation. Okay, so this is the case. Got the point? So this is what I want to mention. So there is no radiation if the wire is straight and infinite in length or finite in length, because it is a termination if it is perfectly terminated. But if the same there is radiation if the wire is curved, bent, discontinuous, terminated or truncated. The wire is bent, truncated or discontinuous or terminated. In all these cases, the wire is responsible for radiation. If the charge is oscillating in time, if the wire is not bent or pretty much straight and you cannot deform it, then even when the wire is straight under such situations, the charge that is flowing through, if it is oscillating, then obviously it leads to acceleration, deceleration of charge carriers, and hence oscillations takes place, and hence the corresponding current is positive, the corresponding radiation is possible. Now accordingly we have the voltage distribution on the current and current distribution on the wire and current distribution. Suppose if I take the example of voltage distribution and I try to interpret the same thing on a dipole and the corresponding voltage current distribution also, and the corresponding current distribution also, then it would be the current distribution would be like this, the current distribution, while the corresponding voltage distribution would be like this. Remember, the variation in the distribution of current is across the length of the antenna. The variation is with respect to the length of the antenna. You see, there are two regions or three regions on the antenna. One is edges, and the other one is center. You see, if you compare these two diagrams, at the center the voltage is very small while the corresponding current is max. Current is max while the voltage is minimum. While the voltage is max at the edges, where you find that the corresponding current is minimum. What after all the current is? The distribution of charge, the flow of charge, which means the flow of charge is low, or the corresponding current density or charge density is low at the edges, and the corresponding voltage is increasing because it is of due to high resistance. The charge density can be decreased, and hence V is equal to IR, and R increasing means the corresponding voltage increases. Similarly, at the center, you see the current increases to its maximum value, and hence the corresponding voltage will be minimum. So the charge whenever is at the center, the charge will be always accelerating. But while it is approaching the edges, it has to decelerate, and after reaching the edge completely, it has to take a turn, U-turn, and go back to its original position. Actually, there is no original position, but it has to trace back its path to and fro. So, if it has to do that in that way, obviously it has to stop at some point. That means the corresponding velocity should be almost zero and then go back. So that is what you see. So the corresponding current density as well as the charge density as well as their corresponding acceleration both will be low, and hence this is the case. Okay. So now if you try to sketch out the corresponding electric field with the same illustration, Okay, with the same illustration, then this is electric field, then the corresponding field would be the next half cycle. For this particular case, let us suppose that this is plus and minus, and for this particular case, then the corresponding charge exchanges. So this is how the polarities keep on changing, and hence the corresponding electric field is. Now if you try to sketch the corresponding magnetic field in that particular case, then the magnetic field would be very small at the edges, keeps on building at the center as soon as it reaches the center, and again as soon as it tries to move towards the edge, then the corresponding field, magnetic field would be low. So this is the situation of the magnetic field. This is the situation of the magnetic field. Now if I try to sketch the same thing, then I would need to give an interpretation, something like this. Electric field that is responsible for the magnetic field, then electric field, this again leads to electric field, which is again responsible for the magnetic field, then the corresponding electric field and corresponding magnetic field, and you call the entire thing as radiation. This particular thing is the radiation. So got the point? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So just try to give you an explanation related to this: the electric field, the magnetic field, and the wave propagation. So here, how would I mention that? This is E, this is H, this is E, this is H, this is E, this is H, and this is wave propagation. So this is the situation. Okay, so now at this point, we have to remember the Maxwell's equations. So finally we have come to the devil in the room, that is the Maxwell's equations. So what is this Maxwell's equation? Because this is not an electromagnetic field theory discussion. Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
V is equal to IR cut, sir. Then V is directly proportional to I అన్నప్పుడు then why should be the distribution is vary from each other, sir?
See. So this is actually very fundamental. This we should, as an electrical engineers or electronics engineers, right after the first instance you encounter with Ohm's law, immediately you have to reset your mind to understand the concept behind V is equal to IR. So if you go back to your basics and retrieve from your knowledge, from the memory, what you have discussed while you are while the first teacher that learned you, the who has taught you about Ohm's law, would have mentioned that V is directly proportional to I. There should be some constant to replace this proportionality constant to equality, and for that reason I have kept a constant known as R, and fortunately this has become a physical quantity that is measurable and referred as resistance. So this is what your first teacher would have taught you, right? And also if you recap, it would have been also mentioned at that point of time that this is Ohm's law, and this is suitable only for linear, because V is directly proportional to I is a characteristic nature that is expressing a linear characteristics. But my question is, why you are using it for op amps, which is a non-linear device? Why you are using the same expression for diodes? In a circuit there is a diode and you are using V is equal to IR again, because by knowing the current through the diode IR, ID, which is I naught into e power eta nu kt minus 1, you are, and the current is given, and how you are doing, by just simply knowing its static resistance, you are dividing, multiplying it with the current through the diode, and you are calculating the voltage na. It's a non-linear device. Why you are using Ohm's law? So this point you have to understand that this is just a formula to calculate V or I or R when the other two terms are known. And in this particular case, you don't put the proportionality constant and start mentioning the relation and establish yourself or drag yourself into a controversial or inconsistent theory that makes every component linear. Okay, so just V is equal to IR is a formula. So if you want to know the voltage at a particular point, just know the current, know the resistance, and calculate the voltage. Know the current, know the voltage, calculate the resistance. That's all. అంతేగాని ఇక్కడ V is డైరెక్ట్లీ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు I కదా, మరి I తగ్గితే మరి R పెరిగితే ఆటోమేటిక్ వోల్టేజ్ కాన్స్టెంట్గా ఉండాలి కదా అన్నది లీనియర్ కేస్. But the system is a non-linear case. So okay, so you are using it for calculating the voltage in a diode across a LDR, across an LED, and several non-linear, the complexly non-linear case of antenna. So which means that you are not using the proportionality, you are using it as a formula. That's all. V is equal to IR. That's all. That's a formula to measure V, I, or R. Okay, so don't take it in that way. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Clear, sir.
See what happened, you know, the reason why I told you all these things, because when I first in my first class of engineering, when I am talking about why this is a non-linear device, why I am using V is equal to IR, because it is a non-linear. That is what the question put by me to my teacher. So fortunately she was patient enough and she could explain me all these things. So according to her perception, whatever she told me, I told you. Okay, I just try to share you. Even in books it is written in that way only. Okay, so take it as a formula, not as a relation. Okay, so try to understand. If you try to carry the relation between V and IR and R according to the formula, then it keeps on confusing in many cases and takes yourself into a conflicting situation. Okay, so by this time this particular
Okay.
thing should have been solved on your own. But anyhow, as nobody might as you never put out this question to anybody, nobody has answered to this. But anyhow, I hope I could convince you. If not, you try to think over it, you will get the point, you will get my point properly. Okay,
No, sir.
so
Convinced, sir.
yes, yes. So as I told you, it's like a devil's in a going to the corner and finding the devil of the room. That is the Maxwell's equation. Now we have to beat this Maxwell's equation, which is inevitable. The concept of antenna is impossible without crossing through the Maxwell's equation. First, I'll try to write my way of understanding this Maxwell's equation. Anyhow, you have done your EMTL, you have given your examination, you have all passed in very good marks, but still understanding this particular point is important. So, however, I'll give my perception in this. If I try to understand, I try to give it in del dot D, del dot del dot B, del cross E, and del cross H. So this is how I try to mention this. And now we have the rho v 0 and minus dou b by dou b by dou t j plus dou d by dou t. So here the first one is Gauss law. The second one is is something related to the which means that an isolated magnetic charge is impossible. This one is straight away the Gauss law, right? And this has a meaning which means that the isolated magnetic charge cannot exist. And however, you have the Faraday's law, and then the Ampere's law. So looking at this, every law, none of these four laws is actually mentioned or formulated by Professor Maxwell. He is also a professor in this physics, applied physics, and also is a good mathematician. And he did not propose any of these laws, but he is the person who gathered all these laws, collected them, and bounded them to form a set of equations that are responsible for electromagnetic wave propagation. So what if not Maxwell's equations? So what if not Maxwell's equations? Yes, they do exist, because before Maxwell's only this Gauss law, this del dot B, the first law, second law, and the Faraday's law and the Ampere's law. All these laws were proposed before Maxwell's, before the birth of Maxwell's itself. And it's not the Maxwell's who has proposed this. So before Maxwell's, and he has before he collected all these and put them as a set of equations. Actually, the set of equation is 21 set of equations, and he called them as Maxwell's equations. However, all 21 are not sufficient, not required. Only these four if you study, which means that you are going through all the remaining 17 hours. Okay, that's the reason why these four are primary. So before this, the thinking of a human being or a perception of an intellectual in physics used to be like they differentiated. That means they have separated the electric field and the magnetic field, and they never bothered that the electric field is possible with the magnetic field. I mean, a magnetic field and an electric field, and never had a thinking that one is responsible for the other and they are both are coexisting. The idea, the ideology, the mindset of the physicist, the people in the area of applied physics and mathematics is such that they never uh, developed an experiment with both electricity and electric field and the magnetic field. So they never spoke about the electromagnetic wave propagation, because there is no electromagnetic field. They used to work on electric field, they used to work on magnetic field, they never combined, they never assumed that one is responsible for the other, they do coexist. So the philosophical way of understanding the field was entirely different in those days. Later on, this Maxwell's mentioned that people are using magnetic field for electric field, but however the resultant electric field is used majorly while ignoring the magnetic field contribution. And similarly the magnetic field which is resulting in a particular lab, and the corresponding electric field that is responsible for the magnetic field is ignored. So you cannot ignore the electric field and the magnetic field, and you can't separate and you can't deny the fact that they coexist. So to mention it, to make a mark of this particular argument, what he has done is he collected all the 21 set of equations that always express that yes, if you know electric field, you can find the magnetic field. If you know magnetic field, yes, you can find the electric field. So this set of equations, if which were formulated and separately existing, they collected them, piled up as a set of equations and mentioned it as Maxwell's equation. And since then, the mindset of the applied physics people started working on electromagnetic radiation. So okay, so this is all an introductory part to this thin wire antennas, because there is a lot of common sense that we have to understand before we get into this particular chapter. Till now we have understood by what exactly an antenna is, what are the parameters of an antenna, what are the various formulae that can be used to jump from one parameter to the other parameter and find any parameter from any parameter. That's what we used to do earlier in the first chapter. But this needs a lot of insight, a lot of intellectual understanding, and I am trying to stress that particular part here. Okay, so we have taken a lot of time, and I'm going to meet you once again in the afternoon sometime. So be patient, be